It is weird working in games. Studios are closing, projects are being cancelled, and major layoffs seem to happen every month. Finding stable work has been difficult. I've spent most of my life wanting to work in games, and eventually I found the determination to go back to school, graduate, and make my way into the industry. I got there, and I spent years making a life out of it, and now I'm getting pretty close to leaving it quite unwillingly. I remember hearing about people leaving games, and at the time, it always felt surreal to me. I'd spent so long trying to get into this line of work that I couldn't imagine ever wanting to leave it, and yet here we are. I understand that decision a little better now. So this video will mostly be some ramblings about the things I've learned along the way. One of the first lessons I've had to learn is how to handle the thing that brought me here in the first place: passion. When I first got into the industry, I was a pretty wide-eyed junior designer. I was just excited to be here. I wanted to make games, I wanted to learn, and I wanted to prove that I belong. And I don't think I was particularly unusual in that respect. A lot of the people I work with are just as passionate about making games as I was. But passionate developers have a problem. When you care deeply about what you're doing, it's very easy to give it more and more of yourself. You start staying late because the problem needs solving, thinking about it after work because you want to get it right. You take on more and more because you care about the project and you want to be useful. But that pressure to keep giving more doesn't always come from you. Sometimes you arrive at a company where overworking is already the norm. And once you're in that environment, the culture and your own standards can start feeding into each other. The culture rewards the extra effort, and the extra effort raises the standard for the culture. Eventually, going above and beyond isn't exceptional anymore. It's the expected pace of delivery. And once that becomes the baseline, you're trying to sustain the unsustainable. Before you even know it, you can find yourself completely burnt out. That's why I think healthy boundaries matter. Overtime is to be expected during crunch, but it should remain the exception, not the rule. If exceptional effort becomes your baseline, eventually you have nothing left to give. But passion doesn't just affect how much of yourself you give to the work. It can also affect how you approach the work itself. One other thing I've learned over the years is to separate the solution from the goal. When you've spent a lot of time working on a problem, it's easy to lose sight of that distinction. You get so deep into the solution you've been developing that it starts to morph into the goal itself. And that's when it can help to just take a step back, look at the bigger picture, and ask yourself, what are you actually trying to achieve? Is this solution the only good way to get there? Because every solution has trade-offs. The question is, which ones are worth making for what you get in return? Sometimes you're simply too close to the problem. Getting a third party involved can give you that outside perspective and help you see things you might not be seeing anymore. One of my mentors taught me something I still use to this day: the rule of 3. When you're faced with a problem, come up with 3 different solutions. It keeps your mind open, you're forced to approach the problem from a different angle, and you give the person with authority to make decisions more options to work with. They can choose one, reject all 3, maybe even combine parts of them into something else. The point is to keep the solution space open. And that openness becomes even more important when someone challenges the idea you've put forward. Another one of the earlier lessons I learned from a mentor was that how and when you communicate matters. There will be moments when you put an idea forward and someone challenges it. I've learned that you don't have to answer immediately. Sometimes it's better to take a moment to understand what they're actually saying. The disagreement might be smaller than it first appears. Ask questions, figure out where you actually disagree before you start arguing about it. And if they have a point, recognize it. You don't have to concede your entire proposition just because part of their criticism is valid. It's easy to react when you're caught off guard. You hear something you disagree with, and before you've really had time to process it, you're already defending your position. When you're constantly reacting to whatever is thrown at you, you're always on the back foot, and that's exhausting. Give yourself a moment. If you aren't sure how to respond, you can say that you haven't fully thought it through yet and you'd like to have some time to think about it. And then there's the other side of communication, how you deliver it. Speak too fast or too excitedly, and you may risk sounding nervous or not confident. Go too slowly or speak in a monotone voice, and you can lose people before you even made your point. Also, when you bring it up can matter just as much. Maybe they've just come out of a long meeting. You might have a perfectly reasonable point, but if they're not in the right headspace to actually engage with it, it's probably not going to go anywhere. So sometimes it's better to pick your moment. Even when you pick your moments and make your case clearly, there will be times when a decision still goes in the direction you disagree with. You've raised your concerns, explained the risks, and made your recommendation. Once you've made your case, the decision isn't yours anymore, and you have to accept it. And sometimes, that decision will be wrong. Keeping a record can be useful here, not for an "I told you so" moment, but as a backup. If things go wrong and you're required to revisit that decision, you've got a record of what happened. If it goes badly, you help fix it, but you don't have to confuse someone else's decision with your failure. And I think that's where resilience comes in. You need resilience to make games. It's hard work. There will be setbacks, disagreements, failed ideas, long hours, and plenty of things outside your control. What I've come to realize is that resilience isn't just about how much you can endure. It's about finding an effective way to navigate all of that without losing perspective and knowing where to put your energy. You can't control everything that happens around you. You can, however, control how you respond to it, what you put your effort into, and when you decide to step back. And quite honestly, I don't know if any of this is common knowledge. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I really don't know. But either way, I hope some of these thoughts are useful to somebody. This one took me a lot longer to put together than I expected. Between family responsibilities, looking for work, and trying to figure out what comes next, life has been a little hectic. I actually started working on a few different video essays before this one, but the more I worked on them, the more I kept coming back to this one. It felt a little too relevant to where I am at right now to ignore. I spent a lot of the last several months just trying to figure out where I go from here. Finding another job in games has been harder than I expected, and there have been plenty of moments where I've had to question whether this is still the path I can realistically stay on. And I think that's probably why this was the video I needed to make. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, consider liking it, subscribing, leaving a comment, or sharing it with someone who might get something out of it. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can also drop a tip over on Ko-fi. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.